Study with Ticicorner.
Day of the Dead. I arrive in Guatemala on the Day of the Dead, November 1st. I'm curious about this holiday, so I go to the cemetery to see what's happening. What I find is quite interesting. The atmosphere is like a party. There are people everywhere. Families are sitting around the graves of their dead ancestors. They clean the graves and add fresh flowers. I walk through the cemetery and admire the beauty of all the colorful flowers. There's also color in the sky because many kids are flying kites. Some families are having a picnic next to the graves. They eat, drink, and chat together. People laugh and smile. In the United States, cemeteries are always somber. We certainly never have festivals or parties next to graves. We don't laugh or play music or fly kites in cemeteries either. I find that I prefer the Guatemalan approach. I like the way they remember and celebrate those who have passed away. I like that they acknowledge death instead of denying it the way Americans do. I like that there is life as well as death in their cemeteries. Guatemalans call it the Day of the Dead, but it is also a day to appreciate life.
A kiss. Carlos buys a new car. It's a very expensive car. It's a huge, blue, fast car. While driving down the street, Carlos sees a girl on a bicycle. She has long blonde hair and is beautiful. He yells to her, "What's up?" She ignores him. He yells, "How's it going?" She keeps going and ignores him. He yells, "Hey, why won't you talk to me? I want to go to dinner with you. I'll take you to an expensive restaurant." The girl turns, gets off the bike, and looks at him. She says, "I don't want to go to dinner, but if you give me your car, I will give you a surprise." Carlos says, "Okay." He jumps out of the car. He gives her the keys and says, "Here are the keys." The beautiful blonde takes the keys and then kisses Carlos on the cheek. Then she jumps into the car and drives away. Carlos stands on the sidewalk. Now he has no car and no girl. He says, "That's it? Just a kiss on the cheek?" He gets on her bike and rides home. Bubba's food. Sarah Smith, who lives in San Francisco, went shopping for cat food. Sarah is 30 and lives at 3037 Market Street. She has lived there since 1990. Sarah is married. She is married to a man named John. She has been married for 7 years. They have 2 children and 1 very big cat. Their son Bob is 5 years old, and their daughter Nancy is 3. Their cat, Bubba, is 2 years old. Bubba is huge. He weighs 258 pounds, 117 kilos. At 9 a.m., Sarah got into her car and drove to the pet store. She bought 68 bags of cat food for $10 each, plus tax. The regular price was $15, so she got a good deal. The total was $680, plus tax. She paid by credit card. On her way home, Sarah stopped at a convenience store to buy milk. Bubba loves milk. The milk was $3 for 1 gallon, and Sarah bought 30 gallons. She paid $100 and got $10 back in change. Sarah got home at 11 a.m. Bubba was waiting at the door. He was very hungry. Changed. Dear Abby, my husband of 39 years no longer hugs me or shows me any affection. I have seen him through cancer and diabetes. We have 4 grown children, and we have been seeing a therapist for a year and a half. He is kind, generous, and friendly, but there are no compliments or any of the flirtatious banter we used to enjoy. He swears he's not having an affair, and he doesn't know why he has changed. Perhaps you do. Signed, Grace in Phoenix. Drag. High price of mom's help is drag on family business. Dear Abby, 20 years ago, my sister and I bought a business from our mother. We all love and respect one another and get along well. We will be finished paying off the business in 2 years. Our problem: Mom, who is now 77, still draws a salary from us above and beyond the payment for the business. Her workload has lessened greatly, as it should. She could do all of her work in one day and lessen the burden of her salary. However, she says she'd go crazy if she retired. We don't want that. She could still come in as often as she wants and do her personal paperwork, banking, letter writing, reading, etc. These are all things she does at work on the clock. If we try to discuss this, Mom gets hurt and says, "Just let me know when I'm not worth the money." We don't want to do that. We would hope she would see the fairness of this and suggest it herself. Business expenses are going through the roof, and there are updates we should make. But we can't do it as long as we are paying Mom at the level we are, on top of the money for the buyout. Signed, Daughter's Dearest. Intimacy. Dear Abby, my husband, James, and I have been married only 3 years. We are both in our 20s. Everything is really great between us, except our sex life. As far as he is concerned, that's fine too, but I'm not satisfied. It may seem odd to hear the female wants to have sex more frequently than a young and healthy male, but that's the case in our relationship. Abby, I work with the public, and I get frequent remarks about what a beautiful woman I am. This makes it hard for me to believe that I don't attract him at all. I have expressed many times that I wish we were more intimate. I have even expressed it to him in more than one letter, hoping to reach him. I am at a total loss as to how to make him realize how important this is to me. Is there something wrong with my body? I just don't know who to turn to for advice on this subject. Please help me. Signed, Short on Intimacy in Ohio. Secret love. Woman hesitates to reveal secret love for colleague. Dear Abby, I am a single woman in my early 30s who has never been married. I recently fell in love with a wonderful man with whom I spend a great deal of time. He is unaware of the intensity of my feelings, and I'm afraid of telling him out of fear of rejection. There are a couple of additional concerns. He is 15 years my senior and a medical doctor. I am a social worker in a lower economic class. In addition, we are of different religions, but we have similar beliefs and values. He is also my coworker. I am very interested in pursuing a deeper relationship with this man, but would like to hear your advice first. Thank you for your thoughts on this. Signed, Longing for More in Chicago. Bad Choices. Dear Dr. Tracy, I am a 33-year-old divorced woman with 4 kids. I was married for 12 years and have been divorced for approximately 3 years. I met my new boyfriend during my divorce. We hit it off and have been together ever since. He is a 44-year-old divorced man. When I met him, he had been divorced for 2 years. Well, I met his ex-wife, and she seemed to be an okay person. What I found out 3 months into my relationship with him was that he was fooling around with his ex-wife again, who also at this time had a boyfriend of her own. I figured that since I did not have a committed relationship with him, I had no place to say anything. The problem is, it continued further into our relationship, up to the point when I found out I was pregnant. At the same time, I found out that he and his ex-wife planned to go to his family reunion together. Of course, before all of this, I drove by his house one night and saw her car parked outside his home. The excuse I got after all of this was that they were considering getting back together. I thought it was very funny that as soon as she met me, she found interest in him again. I guess my issue is the fact that I'm now still in this relationship. I have brought a child into this nonsense, and I hate the fact that he keeps in contact with her. My boyfriend has taken responsibility for her son from a previous relationship. His excuse for having so much contact with his ex-wife is because of that boy. I know this is not true, but I have no real proof otherwise. I have also dealt with him taking women to hotels, and my gut tells me it was her, but he promises it was not her. I have tried to get over all the cheating. I know that she is very close to his family, and I also know that his family does not like me because I stand up for myself. I guess the bottom line is knowing how much contact his ex-wife has with him and the fact that he knows that I can't stand her. Am I in a weird relationship with a man that wants to have his cake and eat it too? Or am I being paranoid and need to just trust him when he says he does not want her? I have never had so much animosity towards 2 people in my life. I do love this man, but I feel like I have put myself back in an unhealthy relationship with a man that is trying to lie to me. To be totally honest, now that I have his child, I even hate the fact that he helps her son. She never has to ask for anything regarding that boy, but I have to constantly remind him when our son needs something. He does it for the other boy without thinking, but my son is a second thought, even when I have said, "Look at your son, he is in dire need." I was married to a cheating man and hooked up with another cheating man. I wonder if it's just my bad choices in men. Double standard. Family is uneasy when one sister dates other's ex-lover. Dear Abby, my sister Jane and I are both in our mid-50s. Jane has had numerous affairs over the past several years after her 3rd divorce and was involved in an intimate relationship with a terrific man, Will, that lasted about 3 months. Jane broke up with Will several months after she decided he wasn't what she was looking for. And she's presently engaged to be married to a very nice man, Sam, and seems very happy. I dated Will several times before he and Jane became involved. We weren't intimate at that time, and we started seeing each other again over the last month. This time we have fallen in love. My problem is Jane is upset that Will and I are together and says I have betrayed her. She is worried about having her former and current lovers present at family gatherings, and our parents are also concerned. They say it's just weird. The fact that my sister was intimate with Will doesn't bother me or Will, but it sure bothers them. Abby, I have always been the good girl in the family and bowed to their pressure. But my relationship with Will is more than I could have ever imagined, and I don't want to give up my future happiness just to make my sister and my parents more comfortable. My adult children have all met and approve of Will and our relationship, but Jane and my parents won't budge. Any suggestions? Signed, Once Will in Walla Walla, Washington. Dear Once Will, Perhaps it's time to stop being the good girl. Begin acting like a woman who knows what she wants and confront the double standard in your family. If your sister was sophisticated enough to have serial affairs and your parents have been so worldly that they have turned a blind eye to it, then you should all be adult enough to realize that you are entitled to your happiness too. Although this may make for some awkward first few family gatherings, as grown-ups, everyone should be able to get past it. But if they can't, you are going to have to decide whether you want this man or to be a people pleaser for the rest of your life. Greek family. Woman will never be Greek enough for husband's family. Dear Abby, I married a Greek man whose family never accepted me. Being young and naive, I tried everything to fit in, converting from Catholicism to the Greek Orthodox faith, attending all family functions, including them in our lives. It was never enough. My husband and I traveled to Crete with his family to visit his relatives there, and some extended family members refused to share the dinner table with me because I was not Greek. One of those family members was a priest. Our daughter, Athena, was born 4 years later. What broke the camel's back for me was a Christmas dinner when she was 6. My father-in-law gave cards with $100 to all the grandchildren of Greek heritage. Athena received nothing and cried for hours, wanting to know why her grandfather didn't love her. My husband just tried to stay neutral. Abby, how far should someone have to go to fit in with their husband's family? Signed, Irish again, in New Hampshire. Long time affair. Long time affair appears set to last for long time to come. Dear Abby, I'm married. He's married. We're in love and have been for 8 years. We've tried breaking it off several times over the years, but a force bigger than both of us keeps bringing us back together. I never believed in soulmates or true love until we met. Our love is deep and unconditional. Our roots are intertwined. It's a shame that it happened late in life, but it happened nonetheless. He always treats me like a queen. Neither of us is leaving our spouses or family. We are both in our 50s and sometimes act like we're in our 20s. It's magical. Is it wrong? Do we go on until something changes? Do we try for the 100th time to break away? An affair, no matter how you slice it, will never be accepted in the eyes of traditional society. So it will be perceived as unacceptable. What's your opinion? Signed, Bewitched, Bothered, and Bewildered, in New York. Young mother is frightened by threat of lost custody. Dear Abby, I am 22 years old and have been married 17 months. Derek and I have a 23-month-old son. Derek hasn't worked for about a year and refuses to help support our family. He also belittles me whenever he talks to me. I am not happy in this marriage, but I am not sure what to do about it. On our honeymoon, Derek told me if I ever divorced him that he'd make sure he would get custody of our son. And his mom already said that she would tell the judge that I was an unfit mother. My son is my world, Abby. He doesn't even let his daddy hold him, so I know he wouldn't be better off with Derek. But because I am on disability, I don't know if I have a good chance of getting custody if I leave. I don't feel Derek loves me or my son. What should I do? Stick it out with my husband or take the chance of losing my son? Signed, Trapped in New Hampshire. Wife ready to wash her hands of meddling mother-in-law. Dear Abby, how do I politely tell my mother-in-law to stop doing my laundry? It all started when I was on bed rest due to my pregnancy. I didn't mind her doing an occasional load to help us out. But now she does it any time she's over to watch the kids. I'm very picky about how I do my laundry, and this is the main reason I don't want her doing it. Also, I prefer she spend time playing with the kids than with the laundry. She also puts things away in the wrong places. She does it with my dishes, too. Once I told her not to worry about my laundry because I wasn't done sorting it. She took it upon herself to do it anyway. She's very strong-willed. My husband and I have had problems with her not respecting our parenting, too.
She often takes things the wrong way. What's the best way for us to tell her that her help is not needed? Dirty family laundry. Neighbors get an eyeful when nudist steps outside. Dear Abby, we have a male neighbor I'll call Flash, who frequently walks out to get his newspaper, or the mail, or to retrieve something from his car while he's as naked as the day he was born. He's in his late 50s and divorced. Some of the women in the neighborhood know not to look towards Flash's home if they're out for a walk. They have discovered that he is most likely in the buff, standing at his glass door or sitting at his front office computer with the door open. Flash is otherwise a likable and helpful neighbor. We hesitate to say anything. We do not want to say anything that might destroy that relationship. It's not against the law to be a nudist or for a woman to go topless in public in this city. However, to see a fella streak to his car is a little surprising and unsettling, even for another adult. In the normal course of things, he may be spotted in the nude once a week. I can only assume this goes on daily, but thankfully, our paths don't cross more than once a week. Is this something we should be concerned about? Startled in Austin, Texas.
Parents deny probable cause of son's obsessive behavior. Dear Abby, my nephew, Vincent, is 16 and has had problems with obsessive hand-washing for years. I have enough professional experience to strongly suspect that he suffers from obsessive-compulsive disorder, OCD. My brother and his wife refuse to believe their child has a problem and will not take him to get help. My nephew's hands are chafed and raw, and his parents reprimand him for this behavior when he really needs professional help. His mother is the biggest problem. She nixes all issues that suggest a problem, and my brother will not stand up to her. What can I do? Signed, Worried Aunt in Florida.